Ohai. Jordan, the Arab state in the Middle East. The kingdom borders on Syria in the north, on Iraq in the northeast, on Saudi Arabia in the east and the south, on Israel and the Palestinian National Authority. Partially recognized state of Palestine in the west. Jordan divides coastlines of the Dead Sea with Israel and the coastlines of the Gulf of Aqaba with Israel, Saudi Arabia and Egypt. About 90% of the territory of the kingdom occupy deserts and semi-deserts. Tourists are attracted in Jordan by beaches and coral reefs of the Gulf of Aqaba, the Dead Sea and one of new 7 wonders of the world, the city of Petra. The Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, now one of 3 states of the world having the name given in honor of a ruling dynasty, Hashemite, along with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, a dynasty of Saudis, and the Principality of Liechtenstein, possession of princes of a dynasty Liechtenstein. Tools of old Avesky culture and fossil of mammals were found in the valley as Zarqa in the deposits of a formation of Dock-era formation dated by age 1. 2.48 million years ago. Remains of Homo erectus, Neanderthal men and ancient Homo sapiens were found in the Jordanian Valley, Azraq in the south of modern Jordan. At archaeological excavations in an oasis Azraq sent the stone tools created about 250,000 years ago. In the period of the Neolithic, 8500–4500 BB, agriculture begins to develop. In the settlement Ain Ghazel in the north of Amman, the Dakaramachesky Neolithic B. The plaster statues representing some of the earliest large-format images of the person are found. In the period of the Halkhalite, 4500–3200 BB, in Fainana began to melt copper. Frescoes of this period in the village of Telalat al-Ghasl are found. In the period of a Bronze Age, 3200–1200. Settlements together with them architecture, instruments of labor, art, trade violently develop. During a late Bronze Age the territory of Jordan gets under influence of Egypt. About 1300 the territory in the east from the Jordan River corresponding to modern Jordan, the countries Moab and Ammon, were occupied by the Jewish knees of Raven, the reptile and a half of a knee of Menish, where they built the strengthened cities and developed cattle breeding on magnificent pastures. Up to 1 century and these places were inhabited by Jews, and Zawardi was a part of the Jewish state. Presently archaeologists found a large number of the historical monuments confirming the Jewish settling of these lands during the specified period. During the Iron Age, 1200–332 BB, the territory of Jordan is divided between Jews, Ammonites, Moabite and Edomite. The main part of events of the Old Testament belongs to this period. Advanced agriculture existed in the north of Jordan. A large number of settlements in Amman, Dibana, Madab, Agrif the Sky, Buzer and Karek belongs to this period. During the Antique period Jordan is the place of collisions of the Nabataeski civilization with the capital in Payet. About 400 BB-106 AD. At first with the Greek civilization. after gaining Alexander of Macedon, 332-63 BB. And then with ancient Rome, 63 BB-323 AD. In 106 G, the most part of the territory of modern Jordan became the new province of the Roman Empire, which was called Stony Arabia. At this time reached blossoming of the city of Philadelphia, Ammon, Sharesh, Gadara, Pel, Dion. The location is definitely not defined. Arbud. Trade, agriculture continues to develop in the Byzantine period. 324-634. Christian churches are under construction, many of them are decorated with a mosaic. By 635 the most part of the Middle East appeared under control of the Arab Caliphate. Quickly Islam extended. During invasion of Crusaders, 1099-1268. In the territory of Jordan numerous fortresses are under construction. Lordstow Transjordan, one of the most important vassals of the Jerusalem kingdom, is created. Since 1263 the territory of modern Jordan gets under control of the Mamlukski Sultanate. Mamluks reconstruct and strengthen fortresses. In 1400 Mamluks stop invasion under Tamerlane's leadership. Nevertheless, over time the empire of Mamluks weakened, and in 1516 control over the territory of modern Jordan passes to the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman period was from 1517 to 1918. Sultan Selim I conquered so-called Great Syria, modern Lebanon, Jordan, Israel, Syria. Since 1851 in the territory of Jordan several governors who created police for safety and officialdom for control of performance of laws and taxation ruled. It were years of big changes. The road network developed, extension of the Hijaz Railroad, which was built along a way of a Muslim pilgrimage from Damascus to Medina, became a noticeable event. Construction began in 1900. Works were mainly conducted by forces of special railway battalions of the Turkish army, but also the considerable number of civilian workers was attracted. Since the beginning of construction of army it was necessary to protect the road under construction from attacks of Bedouins. In 1908 the road was completed to Medina. During World War I Turks used the road for transportation of troops and military freights. The road was exposed to diversions of the Arab groups under command of the famous British intelligence agent Lawrence. Now certain sections of the road work. From Damascus to Amman and from phosphatic fields about Amman to the Aqaba Gulf. After fall of the Ottoman Empire the territory of Jordan passed under management of the Arab government in Damascus, which announced Faisal, the son of the Sheriff Hussein, the king of Syria. The government of the King Faisal ended after in 1921 the League of Nations transferred to France the mandate to management of Syria. After the World War, at the peace conference in Paris in 1919, the decision was made that Palestine will pass under management of Great Britain as the mandated territory of the League of Nations. Palestine was defined as the area including territories in which are located Israel, Jordan and a northwest part of Saudi Arabia today.
On the basis of decisions of a conference in San Remo, the League of Nations handed in 1922 to Great Britain the mandate to Palestine, including the modern territory of Jordan. The White Book published by Churchill in 1922 declared creation within the mandate of the British Protectorate the Emirate Transjordan in east part of Palestine, headed by the Emir Abdallah ibn Hussein.
May 25, 1946, the Principality Transjordan gained independence and the Hashemite Kingdom Transjordan began to be called. During the Arab-Israeli War of 1947-1949, Transjordan occupied and in April 1950 annexed Judea and Samaria. Transjordania, the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, then it was renamed into the Kingdom Jordan.
Before the Six-Day War of 1967, the kingdom entered as east coast of the Jordan River, which was the main territory of Transjordan before war, and occupied western. From 1952 to present time, Jordan receives the economic help from the USA, total amount -$9 billion.
East and western coast of the Jordan River in the period of government of the King Hussein.
In 1954, Jordan adopted the law granting the right to nationality to all,
except Jews, having citizenship of the British Palestine till May 15, 1948, and constantly living in Jordan from December 1949 to February 1954. In the 1980th years, Jordan formally refused claims in the territory to the west from Jordan, in favor of future Arab state of Palestine. His diplomatic relations with the Russian Federation are established with the USSR in August 1963.
A peace treaty is signed with Israel in 1994, then conventional diplomatic relations are established.
The population of Jordan makes 6.2 million, 95% of the population Arabs. Jordanians make 35% of the population, Palestinians -55%. Other nationalities: Adi, Circassians, Chechens, Armenians, Turkmen, Kurds and others.
Also many Jordanians of the European origin and Arabs from Iraq and Syria live.
Part of the population is registered as the Palestinian refugees. Since 2003, after the Iraqi war in Jordan, the great number of refugees from Iraq lodged. According to estimated data in Jordan, there are from 150 to 300,000, generally in Amman and Zarqa. The number of the Lebanese immigrants after the Israeli-Lebanese conflict of 2006 wasn't estimated. According to the Ministry of Labor, the number of foreign workers is equal about card, the most part of them is made by Arabs of Egypt. The others, generally of Bangladesh, China, Philippines, Sri Lanka and India. After the war in Iraq, in the territory of Jordan, many Christians from Iraq, Assyrians and impudent persons lodged constantly or temporarily. Christians make 6% of resident population of Jordan and take 20% of places in parliament. Generally, the Jordanian Christians belong to Orthodox Church, the Jerusalem Patriarchy. In Arab, Rum Orthodox. More than 2/3 all Christians, the others, to Greco-Catholic or Melkitsky Church. On Arab, Rum Catholic, the Roman Catholic Church.
Here they are called to Latinana.
the Armenian Apostolic Church, Maronites and various Protestant societies. People of various nationalities. For example, the Catholic Massachusetts is carried out in the Arab, English, French, Italian, Spanish, Tagalog, Sinhalese languages and the Iraqi dialects of Arabic. Greek Christians in Jordan, but bulk is made by Christian Arabs. In Orthodox churches the service goes in Greek.
Part of Jordanians belong to religious minorities, Ismailis and supporters of belief of Bakha.
Official language, Arab in business, the government and among educated people is also widespread English. The Arab and English languages are obligatory for studying at schools. French is taught in a number of schools, but it isn't obligatory for studying. Radio of Jordan broadcasts transmissions in the Arab, English and French languages. Unofficial Arab office work is conducted, the press is published, speak on television and radio, however people among themselves. And separate radio stations use various dialects, kinds of colloquial Arabic.
Hamiya.
Historically there is actually Jordanian dialect which belongs to group of the orphaned Lebanese dialects. Ash-Shah.
However, in the capital and among youth the Palestinian accent began to prevail.
There is also Bedouin dialect and regional, northern, southern, etc.
Jordan, the dualistic monarchy that is enshrined in the constitution adopted on January 8, 1952.
The exclusive power is concentrated in hands of the king and his council of ministers. The king signs all laws, his veto can be overcome by 2/3 of voices of both chambers of National Assembly. He appoints all judges, the decrees, approves changes in the constitution, declares war and orders armed forces. The Council of Ministers headed by the Prime Minister is appointed by the King, who can oust certain ministers of inquiry of the Prime Minister. The Constitution provides 3 types of vessels:
civil, religious and special. Administratively, Jordan is divided into 12 governorates, which governors are appointed by the king. They are the only heads of all departments of board and development projects in the territories entrusted to them.
In the administrative plan, Jordan is divided into 12 governorates. The governors appointed by the king and who are under supervision of the Ministry of Internal Affairs are at the head of governorates. Governorates are divided into 52 areas. The country is located in the Middle East and borders on Syria in the north, Iraq in the northeast, Saudi Arabia in the east and the south, from Israel and the Palestinian territories. West Bank in the west. The overland border with the above stated countries makes 1619 km. There are also borders outlined by the Gulf of Aqaba and the Dead Sea. The coastline makes 26 km. The main territory, 90% of Jordan is occupied by desert plateaus. In the west of the country there are hills and mountains. The Jordan River divides Jordan and Israel. The highest point of the country is the mountain of Amazedis, 1854 m. Below the Dead Sea, -427 m. The large cities, the capital of the country Amman in the northwest, Irbid and Ez-Zarqa in the north. Climate in Jordan dry and warm in the main season because the main part of the country is occupied by deserts. Average annual amount of precipitation from 2550 to 200. In the northwest of the country, at the expense of a mountainous land relief and proximity to the Mediterranean Sea, the average annual amount of precipitation makes from 300 to 800. The main quantity of the dropping out rainfall fall on the cold period of year, from November to March. The number of the sundial is 6, 7h in the winter and 12, 13h in the summer. Jordan possesses very limited natural resources. The shortage of water and energy carriers, oil and coal, is especially felt. During the period from the 1970th to the 1980th years, time of an oil boom, Jordan received the extensive help from the Arab states, and growth of her gross national product was about 10% annually.
After the 1980th years, reduction of international aid began and growth of NPN slowed down up to 2% a year.
Jordan imports oil, the equipment, consumer goods, food. The trade deficit arising at the same time is covered at the expense of the foreign credits and loans. In the middle of 1989, the Jordanian government went for negotiations with the IMF for the purpose of restructuring of debts of the country and reduction of budget deficit. In August 1990, the crisis in the Persian Gulf, which seriously worsened an economic situation of Jordan, began. The government stopped negotiations with the IMF and suspended payment of debts. They followed events: blockade of Iraq, the war in the Gulf, led to Massachusetts' influx of refugees, DDD growth delay, a budget over expenditure. Economic recovery of Jordan began in 1992, mainly due to monetary receipts from the workers who are coming back from Gulf states. But the source of income was changeable, and growth of economic indicators doesn't allow to do optimistic forecasts. Under the preliminary agreements concluded at the beginning of 1999, the IMF will grant new loans to Jordan the next 3 years.
The main problems of the government: unemployment and external debt. In 1998 it made $7.5 billion a day.
And low standard of living of the population. Gross national product of Jordan in per capita terms in 1999 made $1,500. Advantages: large volume of export of phosphates, presence of labor, Aqaba port, the special economic zone. Weaknesses: dependence on import of energy carriers. Import exceeds export. The unemployment in 2004 15%. Increased by inflow of refugees from Kuwait during the war in the Persian Gulf. Impossibility to develop agriculture. The political instability in the region does harm to tourism. Unemployment in the country minus 15%, the 169th place in the world as of 2018.
In 2015 unemployment rate was 13%, 141 places in the world.
Actually, all electric power of Jordan is made by thermal power plants, the majority of which use oil. 3 main stations in Amman, Labama, Aqaba and Az-Zarqa are connected by the system of transmission of energy.
By the end of 20th century, the government almost finished the program of creation of the integrated power grid connecting the cities of Jordan. for delivery to Aqaba of phosphoritable or branch lines from mines in Haas, Abiada and Shida are built. Across the territory of Jordan also there passes the 452-kilometer piece of the Hijaz Railroad constructed at the beginning of 20th century and modernized.
The network of highways has the total length of 7.24 thousand km. In the country there are 379,000 cars, including 252,000 automobiles. Royal Jordanian Airline, the official state-owned airline, connects Jordan with the whole world. In 1983 the international airport, Queen Aliyah, in Algiers to the south from Amman was open. Amman and Al Aqaba have the smaller international airports. The State Aircraft Company of Jordan, Royal Jordanian, in 2000 transported about 1.3 million passengers. She has 16 planes and performs more than 100 flights a week.
The largest airport of the country, the International Airport of a name of the Queen Aliyah, is located in 40 km to the south from Amman. The second international airport is in Aqaba.
In 2001 through all airports of the country there passed 9.8 million passengers. The railroad used by the government of Jordan, Jordanian, goes south from Derja to Amman and further to Amman.
Aqaba Railway Corporation operates the section of the road from Al Aqaba to Batn al Gula where connects about Hijaz, the Jordanian road.
Length of the railroads of Jordan less than 700 km. Jordan has network of the main, minor and rural roads, practically all of them have a hard coating. Construction and repair of highways is assigned to the Ministry of Public Works. Roads connect not only the Jordanian cities, but also the kingdom with neighboring countries. One of the main transport arteries, the Highway Amman-Aramta, connects Jordan and Syria. Amman-Al Aqaba Highway conducts to the sea.
From the Aqaba Highway there is a branch on Al Mudawar and further to Saudi Arabia.
The main flow of tourists is the share of the highway Amman-Jerusalem. Agriculture is the traditional sector, but it doesn't satisfy needs of the country for food. Main crops: grain, sesame, grapes and also haricot. A special part of agriculture is occupied by cultivation of olives. Less than 10% of the lands of Jordan arable, the country depend on import of food. A main agricultural cultures: wheat, bean, tobacco, corn, tomatoes, melons, olives, grapes, citrus, bananas. Wheat and barley, the main cultures which are grown up in uplands where there are rains, and in artificially irrigated Jordanian valley grow up citrus, melons and vegetables. Tomatoes and cucumbers. The area of pastures in Jordan is limited. They are enough fertility only for cultivation of a livestock. Besides, the areas of pastures were reduced under the spread olive and fruit trees. For expansion of pasturable livestock production, artesian wells were drilled. Breed generally sheep and goats, in smaller volumes, cattle, camels, horses, donkeys, mules, poultry.
Jordan has considerable fields of phosphates, potash, limestone, marble, dolomite, kaolin, salt.
Earlier barite, barium salt, plaster, uranium, copper, clay slate, feldspar were found in Jordan. The industry is concentrated near Amman. Branches of the heavy industry are presented by the enterprises for oil refining, extraction of phosphates and production of cement. Release clothes, food and other consumer goods. In Jordan, phosphates are extracted. There are some oil and gas fields in the east of the country. Recently, development by firms from Estonia, Great Britain and the Netherlands of combustible slates, which stocks are estimated at 50 billion tons, becomes more active.
The Estonian company Eesti Energia completes negotiations on construction in the power plant country on the 600-900 medium slate.
Tourism, one of the most important sectors of economy of the kingdom. 10% of GDP are the share of them. According to official figures, in 2017 in Jordan 1.1 million visits of foreign tourists were registered. Nearly a quarter from them is the share of those someone come here to be treated. According to the statistics of the International Trade Association. International Trade Association. Jordan takes the 5th place in the world on development of medical tourism. The medical sector annually brings to the country $1 billion, that makes 3.5% of the Jordanian GDP. Annually to Jordan there come about 250,000 patients from abroad in a year, and in plans of the government to increase this number to 300,000 in 2018. Jordan took the 91st place in the world on commodity turnover volume, according to Economic Complexity Index. (ECI). In 2017, export minus $8.17 billion, import minus $27 billion, negative balance of foreign trade minus $12.6 billion. Key articles of export. 2017. Chemical goods, including fertilizers and medicines. Minus 30%. Textile products, including clothes. Minus 27%. Phosphates minus 8.2%. Vegetables, fruit, spices, including tomatoes, cucumbers. Minus 6.5%. Key articles of import. 2017. Fuel, oil, gas, oil products. Minus 15.3%. Machines and the equipment, electrotechnical goods minus 14.1%. Cars minus 8.1%, and also food and semi-finished products. Main buyers. USA 24%. Saudi Arabia 10%. India 10%. Iraq 6.6%. and Indonesia 4.8%. Main suppliers. China 13%. Saudi Arabia 13%. USA 7.5%. United Arab Emirates 4.7%. and Germany 4.4%. The volume of commodity turnover of Jordan with Russia tends to grow. In 2002 I made about $32.7 million, in 2003, $50 million, in 2006, $140 million, in 2013, $187 million, in 2014, $529 million. Jordanian dinar. Jad, informally G. Monetary unit of Jordan. 1 dinar consists of 100 piastres. On coins and notes, the royal dynasty is represented. Coins and notes are signed in the Arab and English languages. Till 1949, Jordan as unit of account used the Palestinian pound. Islam, the state religion of Jordan, professes her 92% of the population. 6% Christians, the remain 2% adherents of other religions. 12 years compulsory education. On the 12th year, choose where to go, in technical school or in a higher educational institution. If someone chose the higher education, should study up at school 2 years, then pupils pass the last examinations following the results of which arrive, or on the budgetary basis, or unpaid because of a shortage of points. More than 40 state and commercial universities work in the country. The best university is in Amman, the capital of Jordan. The current monarch was trained in the USA. Sons of the monarch, among them his eldest son, the successor of the monarchy, Adnan Hussein, are trained in the USA. The national heritage remains in 3 small museums in Amman. The Archaeological Museum, located in a city citadel, the Folklore Museum, which is in the lower galleries of the Roman Amphitheatre in the downtown, a National Art Museum in which works of local artists are collected. In Madab, the collection of the late Byzantine mosaics is stored in the museum, which occupies several old city buildings.
The small museums are constructed in places of the major archaeological finds, such as Roman city of Charish and Nabateski city of Petra.
At the universities and archaeological institutes, French, British and American, there are scientific libraries. State Broadcasting Company JTV, Jordan Radio and Television Corporation, the Jordanian Radio and Television, includes radio stations of Radio Jordan, Radio Amman, Radio Quran and Radio Jordan 96.3, ShaTV 1 and ShaTV 2 TV channels. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.